Okay, so let's continue exploring Photokey 8 Pro, and we'll continue with the filters. We'll look currently on the foreground layers, and we'll continue with the Lateral Blur. So what it does by enabling this is will detect the edges and will apply blur to the edges. So it's a very nice way to simulate anti-aliasing. In many cases, when you cut off, you maybe have these jaggy edges kind of creating on your image. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll come closer. Okay, and by enabling, you can see we try to kind of almost clear some of those edges. So it's detecting those ones, and you can see how it's applied. So overall settings, it's iterations. Okay, also have an amount of the blur we can apply to this. Some cases you can see how our skin gets smoother, some other areas. And also we can apply threshold on detection on when it's happened. So we go right there. You can see our threshold applied a little bit more to how small details it is. Okay, it's nice tool to the blur if you want to kind of blurring some noise or other effects, maybe in dark areas. Okay, but it's more as the touch-up creative. So the blur tool, it just apply overall blur to the whole image. Okay, if you need to hide something. Okay, next we have it also brightness. It is not after contrast or other things. This is just simple increase brightness or darkness of your image. Okay, let's image this one. We have a color balance, which allowed us to modify settings for the 3 channels: RGB, red, green, and blue. And this is if you want manually tone correct it if needed, if you feel like it's required. Okay, we also have it Color Balance Pro, which is do a little bit better job on this, but in different from previous, it will retain the original saturation. So it does not kind of, if you compare here, it does not saturate it. See how it's saturated image on this one. And right here, we don't have that saturation. It's more going with the colors, but still have it luminosity level kind of. So it's a little bit better way to do it without affecting any on contrast or other things. Okay. And if you like to prefer, you can use color temperature. So we also have vibrance. And this is overall vibrance. You can do on a specific channel if you want it. Okay, so right here you can see we have it vibrant and green. We have it also phase, preserve illumination. So illuminations if lighting, set exposure, offset if we need it on a wider. So we can bring, also work with the gammas and invert if we need it. Okay, so you can have it a very interesting creative type applied with this vibrance. So it's not just a simple vibrance updated. It's a little bit more tool, but again, this is more as a creative and a little bit less to retouching. Okay, next we have it vibrance. Color temperature probably will use a little bit more in this case. If you have it any specific temperature applied, for example, in some cases it was 56. Okay, so right here you can see it's produced a little bit more warmer. We can go a little bit to the colder temperature, and by default it was, if you remember, 640K, which is work fine. So right here in this moment you can, in this filters, you can actually go and let me scale to fit on this one. We can go to adjust the temperature to match a little bit better our environment. Again, temperature is one thing, and you notice sometimes maybe a little bit does not match. It's because we have a tint. So right here we have a kind of a cyan tint on a background. So we probably want to use some of the color balance or Color Balance Pro to add a little bit more greenish is to red, you know, kind of a little bit more this color cast to apply it, so it will match coloring a little bit better. But again, this will work well together. Okay, so let's go ahead, disable these properties, filters, and we'll go down. So we have a contrast, which allow to increase, decrease contrast. We can have also option to defocus. And this is just help us to simulate a blur that created by out of focus lenses. So you can see right here, we have also some bloom effect that produced by some lighting effect. Okay. And as well blur you applied. Okay, it's have a lot of new filters, so you have a lot of creativity tools. Okay, and if you want some smooth, soft kind of by duplicating, Diffuse will do this. So just duplicating and diffuse this, we can have a string of the image as well as a blur. So let's have this kind of dreamy, somewhat look maybe call some people, but it is additional options. So dual tone will replace darker and lighter luminosity levels with the colors that you selected. So in some cases, maybe you want your darker one color and we'll take brighter here. So you can take from the scenery and apply directly to yours. Okay, so let's go maybe even darker. So we'll have a little bit more contrast, but it is simple duotone, very nice for the creative processing or kind of poster look. You have the point, you can select colors, you can invert your colors. Okay, you can see selections, set threshold, also when the colors will between both of them, softness between them, blend with original, so we can also apply just a little bit duotone and add coloring to this, so it's kind of look nice, maybe a retro look in some cases. And as well, brightness by luminosities mostly you want to do, but you also can switch to intensity, lightness, and luminosity as well. Okay, next we have a halftone. And you notice on a halftone we're producing this printing effect type. So we have the resolution per dots, angle of the dots, so currently it's 15 degrees, so we can modify this. Okay, dot color, background color. We can also shift Y and X if we need it, readjustment, offset, and as well we can a little bit more even smooth some surface. So it's just creating blurring on this. Okay, so halftone color, similar we have it, but we only preserve color in this case. Okay, let's go ahead, hue, colorize. We can kind of hue entire image towards any specific color. So right here you can see we kind of more hue everything towards that. Again, it's creative or maybe color corrected if you like it. As well, we have a color shift that it will shift all colors on the image from equal from the wheels. So it's a little bit almost similar to what we have it, but you can see right here we have a little bit different shifting on that. Okay, the next one is kind of interesting. It is leave colors. So right here it's kind of like green screen, except we can select one color and you can see it is removing all colors except one that we selected. So for example, if we go and select maybe here's just, so it's remove the yellow or remove red right here, leaving. And here as well, we have it blending. So how much strong tolerance. So right here, I can say, okay, leave it me just the skin tone and everything else. You can see remove like red and all those colors. Okay, we can soft with edge, how much blending with edge makes smaller. Okay, match by hue, composing on a lightness or luminosity. So we can switch a little bit different or luminosity in this case. And we also can invert that selection. So you can have a very interesting effect with black and white or other photography, but as well you can just adjust some colors if you need it. In some cases it's well like a green screen, but except you preserve one color and remove all other ones from color, not from transparency. Okay, next we have it levels, and it's similar to what you're using if you use Photoshop levels. So we have it can adjust black and white, top and bottom. Okay, next we have it also saturation. It's just how much you want to saturate or desaturate image. Okay. Shadow cast is actually a very nice tool, and you can also use this one for multiple. That's what I do. If you preset cameras, you can actually preset one shadows also in a second, and you can reuse it through all images without duplicating. So let's go ahead and enable, and by default you can see right here we're creating shadows, and our point it's based on the bottom right there. So if I want to actually bring them closer or make a little bit more accurate, I probably want to go to adjusting. So right here we can put it. Okay, and notice the feet does not match. Sometimes we'll bring a little bit maybe closer to match those feet. Okay, so right here we have our image set. If I want to expand it, I can just drag on the side. You can see it is kind of expanded image. Okay, and one thing what we can do with this, so right here we can bring our shadows. You'll notice we also have the blur, transparency, color of the shadows, and blending mode. By default it's set multiply because apply best. But let's say if I work just on this and I want to apply, I'll go ahead and select my colors from somewhere in the shadows. You may be already right, probably around this area because it will have color cast. And I will apply blur as well. So in the blur actually is not bad. And in many cases, if you're using processing multiple images and you want to apply blur, this is way will work very well. The cast blur with just a little bit slightly, so you can see right here we have our big soft shadows, which is help us to attach our subject to the ground. So, and of course, if we're using with a gradient, 2-point gradient, you can see right here how it's applying a little bit nicer. Okay, so we can, in this case, we can actually remove it, maybe even move it this way. So now I'm looking on also shadows that cast by other areas. Maybe this will shrink down as well. Okay, oops, let's me go select this point. Okay, we can select right here and we can just slightly maybe blur out. So you can see this is very nice, very good tool to create shadows. And how I said before, if you set closer by the feet, enable blur, like this one, you can use this shadow for almost any other images when you're processing. So it's very good on a field when you're photo shooting and you want to be sure the legs standing on the ground. It's one of the feet simulating right here. And of course the position will be always that place. So if you move slightly, it won't be a big deal, because if you apply, how you can see, if you have your blur set, even offset a little bit will work very well. So this is kind of small tip on the shadows, and I like to use them here. Okay, so let's go disable this. Okay, so right here, so you notice our shadows is preserved, which is good. Okay, next we have it sharpening, and this is if you have it work very well with some cameras, like maybe with pixelization other happens, so you can actually add a little bit more sharpness to your image. Okay, as well, if you do a lot of increase, you can make somewhat HDRI type of look. It's what people look in, this grungy effect. So again, if you put it some radius, maybe about 5 pixels, you can have it more details, and the more pixels, it's obviously the radius of the pixels will calculating. So you can have it more bloom effect than kind of grungy. But overall, if you're going between maybe about 6 and 10, depending on resolution, you can have this kind of grungy effect with sharpness. If you want overall sharpening, you probably want to stay around 1-2 pixels. And we can apply a little bit more in this case. Okay, so next we have it, Charlotte. And this is help us to create just cut-offs. In some cases, if you want to just adjust almost like mask, you can see right here, you can create it as well. Change color on Charlotte. So it's overall, just fill up all this mask with same color. Okay, next we have also options for the transparency. This is generic, just apply transparency overall to the layer. Okay, we also did a look on some vibrance. Okay, and this is a little bit older one. And we have it also white balance we looked before. So this one is a bit different because we can select, we can select this white balance from white color. So instead as other ones, so we can actually going inside. This is okay, this is our true white, and you can see it's going a little bit crazy. In this case, it may, I want to just go right there and reset back to the white. But this is by the picker, and in some cases, if you have an image where the person have a gray, black, white card, you can use the picker to set properly white balance based on this. Okay, so let's look very fast on the backgrounds, and normally it will be same things what we applied with a couple few difference. One, we have a depth of field, and this is allowed us to set depth of field on our background, and we can kind of almost set. So if I click on a focus, okay, and I'll say focus by the feet, so I want sharper. you'll notice how our start defocusing as it's going up. So remember, it does not know depth of the image. So this is kind of set straight point right here, and it's up and down. It will start blur. As more is going, it's more blur is getting. We also have angles of the blur where we can go. Amount of the blurs can apply it. Okay, notice right here, it's left and right, so we can go sideways, horizontally, vertically. How much you want spread, and you can see where's the spread happening. Okay, range. And we also can apply transparency to the blur. So in some case, we can create almost this glowing effect if we add a little bit more transparency. Okay, so this was the filters, and you can see they are actually quite a bit powerful. So you can do a lot of stuff inside the Photokey 8 Pro with the new filters, new blending modes, and specifically on background and foreground. So we can actually create this image matching and blending very well inside this tool.